So you're looking at the FLIR Scout III 320, the thermal monocular that promises to let you see in total darkness. It sounds like the ultimate tool for hunting, security, or just nighttime exploring. But here's what surprised me. After weeks of testing, I'm telling you to hold your wallet. Therefore, this isn't a typical review. This is a breakdown of the real-world problems that make this a potentially frustrating purchase. For the best price, click the link in the description. Let's be clear from the start. You clicked because you want the truth about this $2,000 plus piece of gear. You've seen the ads. Crystal clear thermal imagery, 550-meter detection, rugged and waterproof. It paints a picture of being a real-life predator vision. However, the reality I experienced was a series of compromises and gotchas that the marketing glosses over. Therefore, stick around because by the end of this, you'll know exactly what you're really getting into, and it might save you a massive headache and a lot of cash. Consider this your thermal scouting mission before you buy. Act 1. The hook and the hype versus the hard truth. The FLIR Scout III 320 boasts a 3.9-star rating on Amazon, which already tells a story. It's not universally loved. The specs sound incredible on paper. Reliable 24/7 vision, super long-range detection up to 550 meters, waterproof to IP67 standards, 5-hour battery life, high-contrast images. It's a checklist for a perfect tactical tool. But here is the first major contrarian snapback. That 550-meter detection range is wildly optimistic for actual identification. You might see a hot blur at 550 meters, but figuring out if it's a human, a deer, or a curiously worm-shaped rock is a different game entirely. Think of it like this. You can detect a ship on the horizon, but without binoculars, you can't tell if it's a cruise liner or a dinghy. That's the first joke on the house. FLIR's long-range claim is the thermal equivalent of saying you can detect a pizza from a mile away. You just can't tell if it's pepperoni or pineapple, which, let's be honest, is a critical distinction. Therefore, the initial promise starts to crack. The product description talks about sharp thermal imaging at a fast frame rate for smooth, impeccable vision. This is where we dive into the core problem, the display. The Scout III uses a relatively low-resolution micro-display that you look into, like an old camcorder viewfinder. In practice, this means the imagery often looks pixelated and lacks fine detail. It's functional, but for a device at this price point, it feels dated. Imagine buying a 4K TV and the screen inside is 480p. You're not getting the full resolution of the sensor on a screen that does it justice. But wait, it gets more interesting. Act 2. The deep dive into the devilish details. Let's talk about real-world use because that's where the Scout III's problems come out to play. The first issue is battery life. They claim up to 5 hours. In my testing with normal use, switching between modes and in cooler temperatures, which is when you'll mostly use thermal, I was lucky to get 3 to 3.5 hours. That's a significant drop. For a full night hunt or surveillance operation, that means carrying multiple batteries or a power bank, adding bulk and cost. It's like a phone that dies right when you need to make an important call. Not ideal when you're trying to spot something in the dark. Therefore, planning becomes crucial. Next, the user interface. It is not intuitive. The button layout feels clunky, and switching between white hot, red hot, and the color instant alert mode often requires more button presses than it should. In a situation where seconds matter, fumbling with menus is a genuine drawback. It's the thermal version of a complicated universal remote that nobody knows how to use. My second joke. The UI seems designed by someone who has never actually had cold fingers. It's a puzzle box when you just want to see heat. But the most critical deep dive is on image quality and the fast frame rate. The Scout III has a refresh rate greater than 9Hz. That sounds technical. In reality, compared to newer competitors, the motion can feel slightly laggy or choppy, especially when panning quickly. It's not terrible, but it's not the smooth, impeccable vision promised. When you're tracking a moving target, this lag can be disorienting. It's the difference between a 60 FPS video game and a 30 FPS one. You notice it. Therefore, for dynamic situations, this is a legitimate performance hiccup. Now let's address the waterproof and rugged claim. It's IP67, meaning it can be submerged in 1 meter of water for 30 minutes. That's great. But the construction, while solid, has a point of failure: the battery door. It feels flimsy for a $2,000 device. Several user reviews mention concerns about its long-term durability. It's like having a tank with a screen door. You trust it in the rain, but you're always a little nervous. This leads us to the third major issue: value for money. Therefore, we hit the core dilemma. At its price, you are paying for the FLIR brand name and proven thermal core technology. But the packaging, the display, the battery life, the interface, feels like it hasn't evolved to match the premium cost. You're investing in a sensor wrapped in an outdated body. It's like buying a sports car with a legendary engine, but it has manual roll-up windows and a cassette player. The tech inside is good, but the experience is lacking. Joke number 3. Using the Scout III sometimes feels like you're a secret agent from the 1990s. The mission is cool, but the gadget is quirky. Act 3. The resolution: who should actually buy this? So after all this, is the FLIR Scout III 320 completely useless? No, but its recommendation comes with massive caveats. Therefore, let's resolve this. You should only consider the Scout III if your primary need is a simple point-and-see thermal detector from a renowned brand, and you are okay with the compromises. If you need absolute reliability in wet conditions and the FLIR warranty gives you peace of mind, it has a role. It's a workhorse, not a racehorse. However, for most consumers and enthusiasts, there are better options now. Competing monoculars in a similar price range often offer higher resolution displays, better battery management, more intuitive controls, and smoother video output. You are no longer paying just for the thermal core. You're paying for the entire user experience. The Scout III wins on brand legacy and proven sensor performance in its class, but it loses on modern polish and value. Therefore, my final verdict is this: don't buy the FLIR Scout III 320 if you expect a flawless, cutting-edge experience for your money. The problems: short real-world battery life, a dated display and interface, and questionable motion smoothness, are real hurdles. Buy it only if you are aware of these limitations and still find its core FLIR performance acceptable for your specific, likely professional use case. For everyone else, shop around. Look at the latest from other brands. Do your homework. The thermal market has evolved, and that's the honest review. We started with a promise of predator vision and ended with a reality check about pixelated views and battery anxiety. The curiosity loop is closed. If you still want to check the latest price on the FLIR Scout III 320 for yourself, or explore alternatives, I've left a link in the description below. That's where you'll find the best deal. Final joke: think of this review as your thermal hotspot finder for buyer's remorse. I just saved you from a cold, expensive blur. Thanks for watching.